Okay, gonna have to hope that my internet isn't shit. For whatever reason, it's been kind of spotty today, but I'm just going to do a very spontaneous stream, as it is titled, just because I felt like doing it. Um, this is not going to be the stream that I do tomorrow, which is going to be a news stream, where I actually go through all the articles that I have saved up, and I have quite a few to go through. This is just going to be, right now, a more or less not really a bullshit stream, because I do have a point of why I'm doing it, but it's not going to be where I go through the news and all that. For right now, I thought I would just talk a little bit about. Hang on a second, that's not what I want to click open. For right now, I just want this to be a stream where I talk a little bit about my channel, and just the fact that for quite a while now, I have been questioning what exactly I want to do with my channel, like where it's going to go, what exactly I'm going to be doing with it as time goes on, because there seems to be like a general coalescing around my channel for what people like. That's been really one of the things that I've been trying to do, is find a direction for my channel. And one of the things that seems to be wildly popular on this channel, and it's easily the moneymaker, is live streaming. That is the thing on this channel that is guaranteed to be a success. Doesn't matter whether it's me talking about news, which are very popular streams, or just bullshitting, where I fuck around in chat and talk about random things and, get intoxicated and all that. Those are equally popular on my channel. If I take the time and effort to go through and create a long video, it's hit or miss whether people like it or not, and that's fine. If I want to do a video, I'm just going to do it. But it's been one of the things that's been eating away at me for a little bit now, where I'm just trying to grasp, like, what is it about my channel that people like, and what can I do to do more of that? Because that's really going to be the only way that I can get this channel to grow and be worth my time, is to do more of those things. And unfortunately, one of the things that have kind of caught up to me is that there's parts about my channel that I really need to catch up with. I flirted with getting new character art and all that a few months ago, and I never did it. And I've been behind, sort of cleaning up my channel in a few different ways, of like taking videos that I've done in the past, and putting them onto my secondary channel to archive them. There's just been a whole slew of things like that that I have been meaning to do, and fixing my playlists and stuff like that. Those have just been the things that I've been sort of putting off for quite a while now, and I kind of just sit here and I was looking at the playlist, and I said to myself, I meant to do this just months ago. I really should have done this so long ago, and I don't have time tonight, but I plan to, in the near future, kind of taking care of that, because that was just one of the threally that I've been procrastinating about, that I should really just take care of, because I don't think that it could hurt my channel to do that. And I really don't think that there's really any loss in taking care of that issue. But more getting back to the point, in relation to my channel, one of the things that I've been flirting with is buying a brand new microphone, as opposed to the one that I'm currently using, which I don't even remember how much it was. It was under $100. What I might do is go online and try to find a microphone that's a couple $100 maybe, and buy that instead, and use that for the news streams, and see what I can do about making maybe those streams a little bit more standardized, and try to make it something that I can probably not set an exact time to, but try to do on a bi-weekly basis. Maybe I could probably stream weekly, but because of the way that my job's situated, the serious streams would have to be bi-weekly when I have time off to do it. That way I know I have time to actually do the stream. So that's the thing I've been thinking about for a few days now is, what could I do there to actually, make that something that people would want to listen to, would want to engage in. That seems to be the best kind of videos that I do when people are the most engaged is streams. That seems to be when people are, talking about things, are linking things, are interested in things, are communicating to me directly, are viewing what I'm doing. That seems to be the most productive things that I do are the streams, especially the more serious ones. So that's been one of the things that I've been flirting with, trying to hash out is what I exactly want to do and what exactly people want of me. Um, Maybe I can create some kind of poll and do some sort of video where I just say, hey, give me an idea of why you are subscribed to me and why you're interested in watching what I do and that sort of thing and what you prefer of what I do. And it's pretty narrow in terms of what I do in general. But what would you want to see me do? Would you want me to do more streams, try to have more people on streams, focus more on news, so that because with the news thing, that's something that could be turned into a podcast. And that would be the question: do I do a podcast or I don't do a podcast? Because everyone and their grandmother's doing a fucking podcast. I don't know what makes me so special to do that, and I don't know if I'm interesting enough just by myself for it to be worthwhile. I've had a whole bunch of people invite me to go on different podcasts, but it's always been really at inopportune times. Like, oh, we're going to do this podcast. It's going to be on Friday. And it's like, all right, well, I'm fucking working. So sorry. I can't begin to tell you how many times I've had people invite me on a podcast. And it's just like, listen, like, I can't do it. The only streams that I've ever gone out of my way to make time for has been Sargon streams. And he does them very rarely now. And that's just because I know that, I know it's going to be a good hangout. It's going to be fun. It's going to be talking about bullshit. And, it's to a wide audience. So there's a reason why to sort of clear your docket to make room for that. But as it relates to other people, it's like, if I don't even know you and I don't even know what the fuck we're going to be talking about and I got other shit going on, it's just like, I don't really know if I'm going to be able to make time to do this kind of thing when I don't even know what's going on. I don't know what we're even going to be talking about. I've had a couple people challenge me. They said, come on my podcast. I want to debate you. And it's like, oh shit, who's this guy? And I check him out. It's like somebody with 50 subs. And it's like, no, I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay not to go on your fucking stream, dude. Because it's not a podcast. It's a stream. And it's just going to be you and me. And whatever you're going to be talking shit to me, you disagree with me about. There's many other things that I could be doing other than that. I could be getting intoxicated and go and doing my own stream and be more of a success. I wouldn't mind having it situated where I can have people, include them into the stream and bring them in and do it that way and, hash whatever out that way. But I'm not really too accustomed and, too accepting of the idea of like having people say, fuck you, debate me. It's like, okay, well, that's not really the way to go about things. That's not really the way to win me over. And it's pretty rare that actually happens. I get far more like polite invites than I get like negative invites. But occasionally that comes up. And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't really know if you think like you're just going to like sort of think you're going to bend my arm or whatever the phrase is, to fucking get me onto some stream. But it's just not going to happen. But yeah, so that's been the thing that I've been debating in terms of what I want to do with my channel, because one of the things that I've been having to deal with is the fact that I have a slew of videos that I never finish, and that just happens to be the thing. And so it's like a matter of like, okay, well, should I actually, instead of focusing on doing like just random videos like that, should I instead focus on trying to take a combination of things or focus on one thing in particular, make that a video, make it a full-fledged video? Because I mean, at this point, I really don't think that I'm going to be able to do more than 2 full videos in a month. Like, I think it's reached the point where that's going to be where I top out, other than like a bullshit joke video that I can do that'll take me a couple hours. Outside of that, you know, I really don't think I'm going to be doing much more at this point than 2 videos a month. And that's too bad, because I wish it were otherwise, but that's just where I am now. You know, there used to be a time where I could do a video every week, or every other week. There was a time where I did that consistently, but that's over with. That isn't happening anymore. That time is long gone. It's been quite a while since that's been the case. So what I plan to do in the next few days uh, is to actually go through my videos that are on my desktop in file or in folders, that are wherever they are in terms of editing, and pretty much decide whether I'm going to do it or scrap it. And I'm going to go through a few different videos that I have saved in terms of scripts and have to make that same decision. Because certain issues continue to come up now and again that say, "Ooh, you know, maybe I should add that link to the file because eventually I'm going to do this video." But you know, I just don't know what I'm going to be doing with it. And you know, it's a lot easier to just save the links and do a stream. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to worry about, you know, actually trying to hash out a video, write a script, and all that. But yeah, I got like a couple of joke videos that I really just got to fucking finish. I did that one for that one maniac on Twitter. I actually had I scripted it, and well, I didn't really script it. It's just me reading his tweets, but I got it partially edited, but I got to finish it. Um, but the thing is, I didn't think it was funny as the first, and that's the problem. It's one of the reasons I didn't rush to finish it, because I didn't think it was as funny as the first. So I just kind of sat there and I was looking at it. I was like, I don't know, like maybe I should just move on to something else, and that's precisely what I did. I moved on to something else. The other thing is that, and I don't really know why, but so far Patreon hasn't really been the success that I thought it would be. You know, I'm doing pretty decently for my channel size on Patreon, but I seem to make a decent amount in a stream. That seems to be where I'm making a decent amount of money. The only problem is that I don't really like the super chat, because fucking YouTube takes out, I think, 40%. I think that's their take in super chat, so it's a bit ridiculous. That's pretty heavy. But the thing is that there's just not enough people that really seem concerned. Like, I have people regularly give to me on stream that are definitely not supporters of mine on Patreon. So it's like, okay, Patreon is at the least, you know, you can donate however much you want, but it's like $1. That's the minimum. And people are giving me dollar here, dollar there on fucking streams. And it's just like, you know, I had one guy the other day gave me $20. And it's just like, I don't fucking get it. It's like, you got people on a stream that show up every time giving me $20, but it's like people don't want to go on Patreon and give me $1. Like, you know, and that's the thing. You know, is that the issue, where instead of focusing on these other sort of like secondary avenues, you know, why wouldn't I just focus more on streams if there's the heavier incentive to just do that? You know, Patreon is good for just like doing a video, putting it out, and then that being the bulk, you know, income that I can make really in a month. But, you know, it just seems to be pretty unpopular with a decent amount of people. And I saw in chat somebody just mentioned mines. Mines, I'm actually that's another sort of like thing that I'm gonna have to take care of, because I definitely plan to wrap it up on mines. I have to upload a video where I say, like, I'm no longer on the platform. If you want to find me, you can find me here. There's been some other things that I've been looking at for other, like BitChute, you know, whatever, for you know, alternative channels that I can create there in case YouTube ever goes fucking crazy. But in terms of mines, I'm just kind of done with them, and I got to just sort of wrap that up, take that link off my channel, which actually I'm not sure if I did or didn't do. I think I actually may have done that, but I got to wrap that up. You know, I think I just got to, I'll keep up the 2 videos that are exclusive to it. One is that Talib video, and the other one is the Shilling video. Those 2 are going to be exclusives that I just leave there because I don't have the original files. But you know, I just kind of, I've had enough of mines and the fact that they're just not good in terms of a platform. But yeah, and because I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I was going to talk about. I think it might. Oh, if I didn't already say that the microphone thing, that's going to be one of the things that I look into. What I'd like to do is go online and just take the amount of money that I'm going to make this month on Patreon. Just take that amount of money, maybe dip into my own funds a bit, and just buy a really fucking good microphone with like a rig. You know what I mean? Like all the professionals have, all the professional fucking faggots on YouTube, like them, and have like a much better microphone. Because I know that listening back to my voice, I do actually have, believe it or not, I know I can get very high pitched when I'm angry, but when I'm not angry, like right now, I actually have a decent amount of bass to my voice, and I actually think that that doesn't come through in the audio. I think that's one of the major faults of the microphone that I'm using currently, is that it's not properly, you know, giving you the idea of my voice. It's not that good of audio. And so what I want to do is look up to see one of those better microphones. And one of the things is that I'm not an audio expert, and it might be that I need to get a mixer. So that's an unfortunate part, is that I don't really know enough about audio, and maybe that's one of the videos I'm going to have to watch on YouTube, is basically how to correct the audio issues that I have. Because I do think I have audio issues. Because I listen back to the audio, and it's like, all right, I know this is not as good as it needs to be, or it could be, really. So that's one of the things that I definitely think in the near future I'm going to fix, because I don't like that situation. The other thing is too, and this is one of the things that I'm probably going to ask, is about the channel art, because like the backdrop art, in terms of like, you know, the you know, on Twitter, but my whatever it is that I'm not sure what people call it, like the header or the background of that. Like I have that on my channel, I have that on Google Plus, I have that on Gab and Twitter. That is not that big of a deal. Like I use, I think, 1 of 2 pieces of art of my OC that I've had commissioned. That's not that big of a deal in terms of changing, although maybe at some point I can have that changed. But the big question is whether my existing art that I use in the place of my person, you know, the Louis Le Vau with the deal with it glasses, I use in the backdrop as you know, in every one of my videos, whether that will suffice, because I've been using it for years. And that's the thing, is that like I don't know if people like that and they want to keep it the same, or if people see it as tired and they want to mix it up. Because it seems to me that there are people that do make a change and people don't like it. I've seen that with certain channels, and then there are people that want it to change because it gets stale. So that's been one of the things that I've been questioning, of whether I should do it or not. Because I mean, for what? Fucking, let's say tops $60, 50, $60 to hire an artist to do it. Problem is that it would take so fucking long. All the artists I've ever commissioned have been fucking slow. That's been one of the disappointments of commissioning art, is people are fucking slow. But outside of that, you know, just 50, $60, I get a new piece of art, and it's mine forever. But it's just a matter of whether it's actually something people want or not. So yeah, that's a question I have, and maybe I'll put it to a poll at some point. I don't really know how many people are actually going to give a shit enough to do it, and I'll have to figure out a service to actually do that. But yeah, that's that's the questions that I have is channel art, microphone, which I'm going to do regardless of what anyone says, because I think that's something I could definitely improve, and I have the money to do it. And the other question is really the live streams versus the videos, whether people have a preference for just, the basic rant kind of videos or whatever I fucking feel like doing. I've had people say to me that I don't do enough takedown videos anymore. That used to be a big thing, is everyone was doing takedown videos, and I was too. If you look back at my older content, I did them fucking often. And I had a couple of people come to me and say, like, I noticed you don't do them anymore. Are you purposely not doing it? And it's like, no, I'm not. It's just a matter of, it's not there. You know what I mean? If the content isn't there for me to do, and I don't really pursue it like I used to. In the past, I used to pursue that kind of content to respond to, but I don't really do that anymore. I still do response videos in that I'm talking about news and other issues like that. I'm giving my opinion. So that is not super different, but I'm not taking someone else's content and just responding to it directly. That seems to be pretty much where my format has definitely changed, and it isn't because I have, conjured some idea of what I want to do with this channel. It's just something that has naturally evolved from what I was doing 2 years ago to what I'm doing now. Is I used to do takedown channels or takedown videos all the time, and now I barely do it at all. So I don't really know if I mean that's the thing though, is that one, it's a copyright issue. I can tell you that's been one of the heavy incentives that has basically turned me away from doing any kind of response videos, is the fact that everyone is out of their mind trying to fucking copyright everyone at this point. So it's like, do I really want to take somebody's video and fuck my own channel by talking about them and having their content in my video for 1 second? Do I really want to do that? No. It's a lot easier to talk about news articles and avoid the fucking hassle than it is to risk having my entire channel fucked with and potentially sued just because I used half a second of somebody's content while talking about them. So yeah. The one thing is that one of the videos that I want to do, or an actual response to, is a BBC video, and I have that sort of just hanging, and it's been hanging there for quite a while. That's been one of the big things that's been on my mind, is that, like, can I actually try to get away with it? Because I'm going to be getting off of Minds, and that was really the purpose of Minds, was to do that kind of shit. But I'm done with Minds, and I'm going to get off of it. And being that that's the case, pretty much all I have left is what I can get away with here. But I know that there's all sorts of fucking techniques to try to get away with it. You can, and I've seen Bering do this, and I've seen more than just him do it, but basically you have footage running in the background, and I can get stock footage very easily. I have a guy's profile saved from Vimeo where it's all stock footage, and the stock footage you see of, like, the islands and shit that I've used I used one clip of in the forest with snow. It's all from him. I've bought it all from him from Vimeo. And I don't even know if it's his content. I hope it is. But I've taken that I bought it from him. And so what Bering does is he runs that in the background, and what he'll do is he makes the frame of the video that he's trying to use that is copyrighted, he'll make it smaller, and he'll run that over it. And I think that's how he gets around copyright. I don't know if he might just do it for aesthetic's sake, but I think he does that to get around the copyright. So I'm going to try that to see if it works on the BBC videos. The problem is that if it doesn't work, I get a fucking copyright strike against my channel, and it's probably going to be a manual one. And those are the worst kind. Those are the really bad ones. And if you get one of those, guess what? Guess what goes away? Streaming. Then you can't stream anymore. So that's the real danger. It's why I kind of look at it and go, maybe I shouldn't do it. Because I don't want to really lose the ability to stream, because it's been one of the things that I've been doing a lot more of. And it's been something that for the past 2 years, most of those 2 years, I was unable to stream because of copyrights claims against my channel. I mean, and that's the thing. Somebody just said they don't actually have the grounds for a copyright strike. Bro, they don't care. They don't care if you are actually making it a transformative work. They legitimately don't care. You know, I've talked to a lawyer about it, and he seems to be actually wrong in some parts of what he was talking about. He didn't really even seem to buy at all into the idea of a transformative work, and that appears to be wrong. Transformative work is something recognized by the courts. It is an existing law, and that law has been shown to settle or defer to the side of the defendant, in which case it's the person that's making the transformative work. We saw that with H3H3. That was another. It's not the only one. It's another case where you've had somebody create a transformative work, and the courts have said, obviously, this is a transformative work. You know, and they render it in the favor of, you know, the content creator over that of the person claiming copyright infringement. That doesn't seem to be breaking from precedence at all. That seems to be the precedence. And so you look at that, and then you say, well, why is it that, you know, the BBC can get away with just fucking flagging shit, and they don't really seem to care? They just seem to be this entity of like, you know, well, we're going to be able to get away with it because we can. And I'm going to time you out there, dude. Don't spam my fucking chat. I'm always watching to some extent there, brother. Someone asked if I saw Jim's new video. I'm not going to take fucking BBC to court, you idiot. You have 120 grand? Yeah, I did see Jim's new video. The one talking about that Ross guy who finally admitted to being a pedophile and had like a fucking breakdown. It's a bit mean, but you know, it's pretty much what you get when you have a fucking all the lunatics that are out there. There are a lot of crazy fucking people, and I'm not, you know, I'm about a half screw turn from being, you know, a lunatic, as far as I know. But thankfully, I'm not a fucking loser. You know what I mean? I mean, that's one of the things that I can at least say is that, you know, despite the people that can say whatever they want to about me, I'm not a fucking loser. I'm somebody that actively contributes to society. So I don't give a shit. People can say, "Oh man, you fucking weeb. Look at all this shit you're putting out about Asian women." Ugh. It's like, okay, you know, I'm just like Ted Cruz, man. I just like the fucking pussy. All right, that's all there is to it. I work a fucking full-time job that treats me like fucking shit. I'm just the average Joe, man. All right. Let me check out some super chats. So we have YouTube is gay with a picture of tits that says, sorry for the lewd. Hope the $5 makes up for it. That reminds me, it's actually the AM. I forgot. I should actually tweet the final lewd, even though it's now Sunday. I should tweet that out. So let me take a second here to tweet that out, if you don't mind. Just need to reply. Shit. And let's see here. This is actually I'll link this in the chat once I send it out. You can pick your favorites of this last one. I think the last one's the best out of the 3 sets that I posted today. But I want to say that the first chick in this 3rd set is great. She's great. So let me send that out, and I will link it in the chat for you guys to see. I actually forgot to say 3rd and final, but whatever. Mistakes happen. So you can check that out. Let me test that link. Ooh, actually, oh no, it does link to the third one. Okay, so you can go check out that. And like I said, I think the first chick, and that someone might say that she's a half-foo, and that might actually be true. I'm not too sure, but yeah, she's the best. So let me get back to super chats. Did you just say Hargon with a hard R? Yes, I did. There, Drizzle. Patreon hates free speech or something something. Yes, that's the thing, Jason. I don't really buy that. They haven't really done anything since the Lord and Southern thing. I realize people are upset about that, but I haven't really seen them do anything since then. Drizzle then says again, I closed my Patreon after Lord and Southern bullshit. Super Chat isn't ideal. I only support through Super Chat and PayPal Direct. I'm not going to do a PayPal thing. I've had people ask me that before. I'm just not interested in doing that. You know, I got the affiliates, I got Patreon, and I got Super Chat, and I think that's pretty much where I'm gonna stay for now, unless something else comes up that's like Patreon or something else that people don't have a fucking ethical quandary about. So I'll do it that way then. But I only want to have so many different avenues that I need to keep track of at once. I don't like to be too spread out, have too many accounts. So I appreciate the interest, but I don't want to do that. Josh from apparently Australia says, take my shitty Australian money, keep making vids. Thank you, Josh. All right. Send more. And that's the guy. I recognize your avatar there, Mojo. And you're the guy I timed out. Don't spam my chat, please. Anyways. People saying too flat, and the people saying return not flat enough. No, it's. I mean, that's the thing that you're gonna get with me, is that I have a lot of people saying that you know, they want, and I do occasionally post Asian women. Like I actually have a decent few in underwear that are or lingerie, I should say, that are they have decent sized breasts, but largely the base which I take my lewds from are small chest, and that's the particular account. I forget what it's called or what it translates to from Japanese, but it is something like something small breasts, something like that. Small tits, maybe. I'm not too sure, but it has small breasts or small tits in the name. So you should have an idea of what you're going to get there. And that's pretty much where I take it from. There are other accounts, but I only want to follow so many. And I'm fine with small breasts. So for those of you that insist on large breasts, you're just going to have to, you know, find another channel or something else in that way. Because pretty much with me, you're going to get small breasts. People are saying Patanko. What does that mean? Derek and Toothless and Chelsea. You're gonna have to qualify what you mean by Patanko. Anyways, and Dank Oozablue, who is a like a meme account or a parody account of Oozalu, who might be Oozalu. I think you might actually be Oozalu. Says never stop violating our bourgeois social norms. Yes. That's actually what. Now that reminds me, what was I gonna do a video about? Oh, that's right. I was considering doing a video about how I think that years from now, when the regressive left and the social justice warriors and all them, like the people that we would include as part of, like, you know, the umbrella of progressivism, those people, once they're finally defeated, and by finally defeated, I just mean that they lose all any sense of institutional power, where they have lost the businesses, they have lost the government, they have lost the institutions in terms of like academia, even like they've just lost all power that they could manage. And like they are kicked out of like gaming and comics and movies and everything. They're losing across the board everywhere, and they've lost a lot of power. One of the things that I fear is that a lot of the people that we see on what I would deem the retrograde right, which some will say are just like traditional conservative commentators, and it's nothing to say of the people on the ground necessarily, but it's the people that are into punditry, the people that are the commentators in that. I have a fear, and I think I've talked about this a little bit in the past, that instead of having like the alt-right come out and you have the white nationalists come out and they're the big, power group that comes out of when the SJWs go down, my fear is that the liberal mask that the retrograde right now dawns, the mask that they're now donning to pretend as though that they're liberals themselves when they're not. My fear is that when the SJWs finally go down and there's a vacuum and there's now an opening, my fear is that you're going to have the retrograde right just swoop on in, and the mask of liberalism is going to drop. And while they were at one point, and they are now, making ethical arguments and principled arguments, they are then, once the mask drops, they are then going to make practical arguments. And that is when you're going to see them abandon any sense of being the ally of a liberal. And I mean like a classical liberal. You'll see that immediately disappear. Because I'm sorry for any of you that listen to me, that follow me, that are listening right now, that are more traditional conservatives, but you have a lot of people in terms of your punditry and the people that are the talking heads for your ideological faction. Whether they represent you or not is beyond me, but it's just the matter of who I see there. And I will include, and there's a lot of people praising him right now, is Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, I would say, does fit pretty neatly within that category of people. He may not be as ridiculous as some, but he is very retrograde on certain issues. And I think that once the SJWs are gone, this whole notion of free speech and liberalism and that sort of thing, outside of the economics, which I think will remain, outside of that, I think the mask is going to come off. And that's when you're going to see social conservatism come up, and that is distinctly illiberal. And the pretense of liberalism is going to go away immediately. And they're going to then turn on people such as myself or anyone else that is a liberal and then say, oh no, you're just one of them. You're just like the regressives. You're just like the SJWs. You're just like them. You're the weak ones. You're the ones that are trying to fuck up this country. You're just like them. And so I'm going to call you them. And I'm going to say that, the new thing that needs to come about in American society is social conservatism. And it's just going to be the same illiberal retrograde beliefs that have been foisted upon America for decades. It's not going to be any different, because I've listened to someone like Ben Shapiro and others talk about their beliefs from more traditional social conservatism, and nothing has fucking changed. Nothing at all. It's the same fucking beliefs. Nothing at all has changed. And it just says to me that even while there are elements to what these people talk about that are worth discussing, that actually do have redeeming qualities and redeeming factors and actually can be argued, the problem is not a matter of actually honestly arguing your opinion or arguing what you believe. It is a certain level of dogmatism that I see that says to me that, again, it's not, you see the ethical arguments and the arguments of principle now, but I'm saying that once the power vacuum opens, the mask of liberalism is going to come off, and that it is just going to be asserted. No, the SJWs are gone. We're here. This is what's true. This is what's right. This is what's proper. And it's away the ethical concerns are going to go, and the practical arguments are going to come out. Because that's exactly what the SJWs do now. They don't talk about principle. They don't talk about ethics. They don't talk about anything that they actually will argue while conceding some of the matters of the other side. They will just say, no, this is what I believe. This is what's right. This is the only side to be argued. This is what's true. and they're authoritarian about it. And I think that that's what's going to happen with the retrograde right. They're at least going to make an attempt to do that. I very much see that with certain figures, that the mask of liberalism is just painted on, that they're just waiting for the opportunity to let that mask drop and then once again become authoritarian. Because people got to remember that the retrograde right, they were very authoritarian for decades and decades and decades. And they realize that in society now, they really don't have a large part to play. That one of the fucking massive failures in the United States and throughout the West has been the fact that people are becoming less conservative from that more traditional angle. And it's not, I'm not saying that that doesn't come with consequences, but what I'm saying is that the role of religion and the role of those kind of values and considerations and attitudes and perspectives, that is across the board stalling out. Even with people saying that the new generation coming up is more conservative, but yeah, but what kind of conservative? Even if the new generation is conservative, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the retrograde right. It doesn't mean that. So I think that that's going to be one of the real things that happens because of what we're seeing now. Is because, like I said, I just think that based on what I've seen of people and how they argue things and the way that they present things and the fact that when they're talking about free speech, when they're talking about issues where they can be liberal and take the liberal position, they make those arguments. But when they actually address issues that have to deal with things that relate to social conservatism or religion, the any veneer of liberalism goes away immediately. And then they just start asserting things. And that's how you know that if given the opportunity to wield power, that person is going to be authoritarian. I have no doubt that that is what's going to happen if they are given that opportunity. And the unfortunate part is now is I don't really have any means to really combat them because they don't really have the power yet. They really don't. And like I said, it doesn't mean that certain people, from what they believe, can't hold arguments that are well-reasoned or are even correct in some ways. But the issue is actually debating the issue versus asserting the issue. I hope people can actually understand the distinction that I'm trying to make. It doesn't mean that somebody says to me, well, I think we should have, you know, a mother and a father and have the nuclear family. I think that's better than a single parent family. And obviously that's a very hard issue for me to argue because I would agree with that. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. But the problem is then actually trying to enforce that rather than just assert it as an opinion. I think this, and here's the reasoning for it. I think that you have that, but my issue is you then take the extra step of, no, this is what how society should be. There's no debate. And I'm now going to be pursuing the means to make that our society. That's where any pretense of liberalism goes away. And it may even be something that could be necessarily beneficial, but it is that authoritarianism that just comes out. I think that's what happens with people once they have a certain amount of power, is that the principled ones will be able to understand that they shouldn't become authoritarian, even if they hold institutional power. But the people that don't really care about that ethical concern, they just want to see what they want pursued and completed and actually actualized, that you will then see the mask drop and they will become authoritarian. And that's the major faction of out of all the factions that I've seen of politics, that I think, or ideology, that to me is the one that is waiting for the opportunity. That there are going to be some principled conservatives that are from that position that are obviously not going to be brutal and oppressive and whatever else, and try to use power and wield it as a weapon against other people that are ideologically different or even opposed to them. But my opinion is that there is enough of the talking heads and punditry that are not ethical and not principled, that if given the opportunity to wield that power, they will, just like the SJWs. They will be completely brutal and awful and authoritarian. So you can feel free to disagree with me on that, but I see enough of those kind of attitudes that I just think that, you know, it's like I said, I just think that it's something that I see enough of in terms of attitudes where I kind of look at it and I say, you know, there's not, because the thing is that I know there are principled conservatives. I've interacted with them. I've met them. I know at least a few that follow me. I realize that if you gave them the gun of the state or of societal power or whatever else, they won't turn and pull the trigger on you. They won't do that. I know enough conservatives that are decent enough that they won't do that because they have a strong ethical core personally. They have that. They have moral considerations of their political opposition, and they are principled in that they don't believe in utilizing power in that way. But the problem is that I think with this particular faction, enough of these people don't really care about that. They only really care about seeing what they believe actualized, that they will turn and pull the trigger on that gun the second they have the opportunity to do so. They don't give a shit what you say to them. They will go after you as hard as they can just to make sure that what they want is actualized. And that's been one of the things with traditional conservatives, that they are losing across the board in society, in the United States and in the West, because, I mean, people can say whatever they want to about what I've seen in terms of demographic shifts and the religious shifts, but the religion in America is falling out. It is. Every single year, there are more and more people polling to say that they are less religious. They are less to do with like traditional, established churches and that sort of thing, established religion, that they become quote unquote more spiritual. But becoming more spiritual, a decent portion of those people eventually go down the road of, okay, maybe this isn't true. And once that happens, well, that's the fucking, that's the scary element to any social conservative who's deeply religious, who doesn't, that sees this as something that society needs to retain. And I think I've talked about it in the past, but, you know, when we talk about Islam, I don't think that's, and I think I actually did a commentary earlier today I recorded that I'm questioning whether I want to put up or not, because it's a bit, it's not really so much of a rant, although there's elements in it that definitely are a rant, but it's a bit too strong. A bit too strong on the issue of Islam, even for me. I kind of go a little bit too far in what I say. But I don't think that social conservatives have the proper solution to Islam. I think they think it in their own minds that they have the perfect solution, but I don't think they do. Some do, but it's by, happenstance, really. It's despite what they believe about religion that they come to the right conclusion. And it's not a hard conclusion to come to, because I've talked about it in the past, but I just think that they think, oh, well, somehow we're going to have this new, empowering of Christianity, this new wave of Christianity in the country. And if you look at the history of Christianity in the United States, it's been a series of mergers and consolidations and compromise that have been going on and on and on. And there's never been the rejuvenation. It's never happened. You've just seen people convert to other religions. The real growing religion that I'm still aware of is Mormonism. That appears, and Mormonism is a fucking terrible, I'm sorry if any of you are Mormon, but it's a terrible religion. I have family members that are Mormon. It's a terrible, repressive religion. So it's not exactly good that that's the fucking religion that people are converting to, and is actually doing fairly decently in the United States. But all the rest, Protestantism, Catholicism, all of them are doing terribly outside of, importing Catholicism. I mean, that seems to be the only way that it's holding any kind of ground in the United States. So, when people say to me that, and people are free to believe whatever they want to, all right? I'm not one of the atheists that's going to come out here and berate you for believing. You don't hear me doing that. But what I'm saying is that people having this idea that Christianity is going to have this comeback, look at the history of the United States. Look at the history of the 20th century. It goes from sectarian differences to the idea of, well, okay, let's put aside sectarian differences and we'll just say we're Christians. And then you do that and you still falter. The moral majority was supposed to be the big upswing of Christian identity in the United States, and it collapsed in like less than 40 years. And ever since then, you've seen a consistent downward spiral of attendance to churches, of believing in the more traditional religions and belonging to organized religion, falls and falls and falls and falls every single year for decades. That's been the case. But that's the issue. If you are a social conservative, it's the difference between, well, I think people should believe, and I think they should have these households, and I think, and I think, and I think. That's fine. You can absolutely believe that. But the difference is whether you then pull the trigger and say, no, I'm going to then use the power that I have at my disposal to make that the case. You know, if people don't believe, then I'm going to pursue my means to make them believe, or at least say they do. And people can say that that's far-fetched and that won't happen. Again, you have the pressure that the SJWs currently have or have had. You give that to the social conservatives, especially if they're not principled enough. There's not enough principled talking heads and pundits among them and leaders of that ideological faction. If you don't have enough principled people, which I don't think there are, they will use the same fucking means to pursue their own interests. They will do the exact same thing. And that's, I think it's a very short-sighted maneuver. I think that's going to be one of the downfalls of what could actually be a very serious discussion. My hope in this is that once the SJWs go out of power, that there's I guess you could say like an armistice or whatever it is. You know, we just come to an agreement to not do what was done before, that we don't allow some other faction to take the fucking role of the SJWs and fuck our society. I realize that people can argue that it's inevitability that somebody or some faction is going to rise to power in that, but my hope is that there's not another faction that just takes its place immediately, because that can very well happen. That can happen. My hopes is that it doesn't. You know, I would like to be the case that once the SJWs are gone and all the social constructivists are done and gone away with, and all the Marxist professors are done away with, which I don't know when that's going to happen, because even the Republicans just don't seem to be willing to do anything about it. They seem more focused on not passing any fucking bills and not getting tax cuts and all the rest of the shit that they want to do and can't do. They seem more interested in that and actually fighting the societal issue that we're having. You know, you do see some actual conservatives doing so, and that's going to be one of the issues they talk about, and it's going to be about Gab and the lawsuit they launched, but I'm not going to talk about that here. You know, there are people that are fighting the good fight, so to say, but, you know, the people that are in power, they don't seem to be doing a goddamn thing, even though they very well could do. I mean, look at what they did with the Title IX shit. I mean, that seems to be a miracle, and that's going to be one of the things I talk about in my news stream, likely tomorrow, where it's just like, you know, at least somebody is fucking aware, is conscious in this new administration. Somebody there has a fucking brain where they just wake up one day and go, hey, wait a minute, don't we hate this? Shouldn't we actually be doing something? Aren't we elected to do things? Oh yeah, we should just get rid of this. And they actually did it. I mean, if you ask me, I don't understand how there's not one person part of the new administration, part of any congressional advisory that could just come in and say, we should really defund the social sciences. They're churning out Marxists. Just look at Berkeley. These people are stemming from academia. We can take them out with no problem. We can just cut their funding. Just do that. But they don't do it. And I don't know why. And it's just because, I mean, they're too busy fucking jerking each other off, talking about how we need to, you know, get rid of citizenship in the United States. We need to fight for more collective rights for non-citizens. That seems to be what modern Republicans are fighting for. The SJWs will always be around. You can't completely get rid of them. I don't think that's true. I think that they can be minimized pretty strongly if given the opportunity. You just need the right people in the right positions, and they can be quashed very easily. It's just a matter of setting the tone that what they believe and proselytizing what they believe from the not really the pulpit, but from the pedestal, or not the pedestal, what is it? Podium in universities is not accepted anymore. that if you get on, in front of a podium and you start talking all this bullshit, that you are going to potentially cost your university money from the government. It's not going to be an easy thing to do, and I think there are questions about whether that's right or wrong, but I think it's something that's necessary. Because it's not doing the left any favors. I don't really know if anyone's noticed that Ben Shapiro has pretty much reached his peak of notoriety from the Berkeley thing. There was pretty much articles from every major outlet. There was articles or video segments done on literally every single major network. Every single one covered it. So I'm pretty sure Ben Shapiro right now is at the peak of his notoriety. And he can thank the left. And we can all thank the left. This is the issue, is that why is the left doing everything in their power to prop up right-wing people who I have many issues with? I definitely don't agree a whole lot with Ben Shapiro. There are things that we do agree on, but there are other issues where we do not agree. And the people propping him up are the left. And it's like, okay, do you guys not realize that you are giving this guy the most notoriety he's ever had? And they did the same thing with Milo. And that's the thing. All of these kind of right-leaning pundits, they thrive on this kind of notoriety. They thrive on it. But it's like the left is completely fucking worthless in this way. And so my answer is to get rid of those people. That's my only answer. Obviously, you can't put them in a fucking camp, although, I mean, I can only dream of it. So instead, you got to basically get them out of their job. Get them out of their job, get them off the campuses, expel them, have the police crack their skulls, and that way, the next time one of them opens their mouth, they can get a fucking baton in it. Or they can get out of their job, or whatever else. That way, it's no longer a problem for the left. That way, saner voices can come into the fucking mainstream. That can easily just say, no, I disregard, I completely disown any violent action whatsoever. People are free to say whatever they want to. Hate speech isn't a thing. We shouldn't be talking about it anymore. We don't live in the 50s anymore. And even then, it wasn't such a big deal. There were horrible things that happened then, but we don't live then. As everyone says, it's the current year. So let's talk about what's going on right now. And the Ku Klux Klan lynching the Negro isn't happening. So let's get past it and talk about some real fucking issues. Because one of the things that I keep talking about is the fact that on the left right now, we are devoid of people that can actually argue very serious issues such as economics. And I think that on economic issues, the left can actually win. Because one of the things that the right's trying to do right now for the upteenth time is, oh, we need tax reform, quote unquote, which is just tax cuts. Just tax cuts. And it's like, okay, so what we're going to do is blow up the budget, increase the debt ceiling, take on tons of debt, and lower taxes. Well, isn't that just a traditional fucking conservative economic plan? Run up the debt out the ass, blow up the budget, just hand a blank check to the Pentagon, and then have tax cuts. I mean, name me a Republican administration that hasn't done that, where they then had to later retract their tax cuts. Name me a single Republican administration that didn't have that exact thing happen to it. I'm pretty sure George W. Bush did it. I know H.W. did it. I know Reagan did it numerous times. Just go back and find me the last one where they didn't have to fucking renege on their tax cuts. Maybe W was it. I'd have to look. I'm not too sure. And that's the thing, is that you can have the left coming out and saying all they're going to do is blow up the budget. They're hypocrites on the debt. They're hypocrites on the deficit. You know, we should cut this. We should cut that. They're talking about cutting things. What about handing the Defense Department another blank check? What about handing the Intelligence Agency another blank check? What about corporate subsidies? But no, we're not talking about anything like that because the Democrats and the left are fucking worthless. Worthless. Completely fucking worthless. You know, you have fucking Bernie Sanders and all these other fucking retards out there talking about how healthcare is a right. And I have to sit here saying, no, it isn't. And you guys look like fucking retards for saying so. Why are you pushing for a single payer bill that you know you can't pass when you could instead be trying to keep that in mind and argue for single payer, because I know there are people that are in favor of it to, you know, basically pacify the progressives, but push for fucking what we should be talking about, which is the public option. It shouldn't be just single payer. Offer the public option. Say, here's our solution to Obamacare. It's not to do whatever the fucking Republicans are not doing or failing to do. Here's the public option. Just do it now. Just do the public option. And then argue that out. Make that the issue. Don't say healthcare is a right. Just say the public option is what we need to be doing. But no, we can't do that. And you can get into the economics of it. Talk about competition. Talk about opening up importation of drugs. Talk about that. Focus on that. I have seen some people talk about that, but, you know, they can't do it. They come up with these fucking cockamamie retard talking points. They don't work. They work well within the fucking base, but guess what? You're out of power, you dumb fucks. You just lost the elections. You don't own Congress. You don't own the White House. 2018 is a crapshoot. 2020 looks like you're going to get blown the fuck out. So, you know, I don't know what to tell people. The modern left is fucking worthless. They're either fucking saying stupid shit or they're propping up the right wing by being fucking ridiculous. Getting in bed with fucking terror groups. Like, that's going to do you anything. Anyways. Somebody asked for the lewds. They're already out. I got to post them on Gab, and I will do that, so they will be there. But, oh, actually, I will save that image right there. But in terms of what I've tweeted for today, it's already up. But yeah, that's really one of the things. Ben Shapiro is at his top notoriety. I don't think he's ever had more fucking attention than right now. And he's good at arguing, he's good at debate, but I mean, I don't agree with him on a bunch of different things. And I think that, you know, I've said it before, that I think that some of his arguments are fucking disingenuous. Someone says public option, remove the boundaries between states to allow international insurance companies in. I think that state boundaries, I think, are a lot like term limits in that they are a red herring, that they're not really going to do anything. But sure, let's do it, because it's nothing's really going to come of it. So if that's the trade-off you want, get rid of the state boundaries, and I get the public option in return. Fuck it, hell yeah, I'll take that deal. I just think that it's the issue with state boundaries is a tax issue. I think that's the reason they want it. They want to rush to the states where they can pay the least amount of taxes possible. That's going to be returned to the shareholder. It's not going to be returned to the consumer. That's never happened before. So giving them having the public option, bringing in drugs, that is actually what's going to force the health insurance companies to have to lower their costs, because then they're actually going to have to compete to retain their existing customer base. Because the reason why health insurance is the way that it is the pool. So if you have a smaller pool, you're less effective. If you have barely any competition, you have a massive pool, especially if you have the individual mandate in which people have to buy into it, then that helps you dramatically. The lower end of it is going, or the trade-off in that way is basically where they had to have the sick people buy insurance and have to accept them. That's the thing the health insurers don't want, that they want to get rid of. They want to be able to kick off the sick people from their the pools of which they have, because it's high risk. But the issue is, even with the public option, even if you have all the high-risk people in that pool, it doesn't matter, because you have the government backing. And what that does is it provides people the opportunity to buy into something that is then government backed, such as in case of savings, I think it is, or I can't quite remember, but it's basically where you have the government backing your wealth or whatever savings that you have. Even pensions, I think that's another thing that people want to have, is a pension where the government's backing it. So even if it fails, the government has to pay it. The same thing goes with health insurance, that even if there's something that fails within the public option, it's still the government backing it. So you have to have your coverage regardless. And even though I think it'll have its problems once it rolls out, if we had the public option, I think in combination of a few different factors, such as the lowering of drug prices, I would say that that's going to be one of the real winners for the public option, is that you have the government basically negotiate the drug prices that are covered within the public option, and they will be lower than the private sector. I've seen actual economists talk about that and say that if there is a public option, the government can negotiate the drug prices for consumers or people within that pool, and it will be lower than in the private sector. So then you have old people who then say, oh, man, I can get my shit lower right here, who are not already covered by Social Security prior to that. And that's what Medicare for All would be. That's single payer, where everyone's covered by it at once, no matter the age. That's single payer. But the public option is basically you allow people to buy into the system. That's the real difference. And the single payer will effectively eradicate all but super pricey, super high-end medical care where really, really rich people can buy it. That would be the only real existing private health insurance as far as I know. I have to talk to people that are from countries that have just universal health care to say, because I know that private healthcare can exist, but it's only really expensive to my knowledge. But people talking shit about Bernie Sanders. Did you check out the well, hold on, I got a super chat here. First from Josh, who says the niggers are turning the frogs gay from woke Alex Jones 2018. I'm not really sure the quote unquote the niggers are really doing anything involving frogs. CJ says, did you check out the Jeff Holiday stream with Destiny? Oh Jesus. Oh God, I couldn't finish it because Destiny talked about Sargon for 20 minutes. Oh, because Destiny's gone off the rails, bro. I forgot who it is that he debated that fucking wrecked him. I'm trying to remember who that was, but Destiny is on his way out. He's really overextended himself. It might have been that black chick that he debated that ruined him. I don't really remember, but I don't think I could watch that. I hate Destiny, dude. He's such a piece of shit. I couldn't watch him. Jeff, I'm pretty sure, just did it for the fucking memes, for the bants, just to go in and fuck with them. I really doubt that Jeff took it seriously. So I'll keep this going for probably until 1. Then I gotta stop. I gotta finish a report and then go to bed. So I can tell you, today was interesting. Long fucking day. I wanted so badly to end it early because it was hot today for some reason. I was sweating my fucking ass off. And so I had people that kept coming up to me, asking me like what I'm doing here, what I'm doing in the area. So I had a really good spot where I was set up, and I had to move because I had a fucking bunch of kids come over to me, and it was in the parking lot of a college, like a lab or something. Like it was like some dorms and then like a lab or some shit. It was like a Catholic school. So they came up to me and they were like, hey, what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to make a call. And the one guy's, well, you know, if you got to get out of here, like, you know, the police patrol here. And if they show up, I'm going to tell them you shouldn't be here. It's like, oh, okay, thanks a lot, you fucking faggot narc. So I had to move out of the parking lot, move down the street. Then I had a fucking neighbor come up to me and say to me, hey, like, you've been here for a while. Like, what are you doing here? We're like waiting for somebody to show up and you're in their spot. You know, we'd rather you not be here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. They were at least nice about it, but I was like, all right, I'll move. So I moved to the third spot. And in the third spot, and this was pretty much the only other place I could park, I had a guy come out of his house, and it was because he's a piece of white trash, piece of shit, but his daughter's going to show up, and I realized what the issue was. He comes out of his house, takes out his phone, starts filming me, starts filming my vehicle, takes pictures of my license plate, starts yelling at me, and I'm like, I'm trying to get him to come over to me. I'm like, bro, just come over here. Like, let me talk to you. He's like yelling at me and shit, and it's like, all right, you know, fuck this. So I texted the case manager, and I just told her, like, listen, I have a guy here, and I said he didn't threaten me, but it was like what I said was partially true because I was out of options. That was the last spot I had outside of like fucking right outside this guy's house. There's nothing going on. No, I wasn't going to see shit anyway. So I was like, listen, a guy got out here yelling at me. And I said he threatened me. He didn't. But he's yelling at me. I'm out of options. I'm just out of here. And thankfully, I just left for the day. And at that point, it was like right around late 4 or coming up on 5. And it's like, it's one of the downsides of my job is that, like, it's such a fucking pain in the ass. You know, I got people hassling me. I was trying to get a report done that I should have finished on Friday. I didn't get it finished, and it's just like, you know, I got fucking people hassling me every other goddamn minute to move my, like, where I am. See, my job's a pain in the ass. Jeff Holiday is a faggot. Jim is better. Well, I don't think that's an adequate comparison. Jim is definitely somebody who I think was hilarious with. I think Sargon may have been the best debate with Destiny. He's still not fucking over it yet with Destiny, meaning Sargon doesn't give a shit. But I think his debate with fucking Destiny broke him. People have that meme of him like just like wiggling around his fucking chair like he's having a fucking seizure. I mean, I don't know if he's, or maybe that was Jim. I think it was Sargon though. But Jim fucking got under his skin something major as well. And I love Jim because people don't know what I'm talking about. It's Mr. Medicare. Jim, I think, just has that sort of, he has like a very natural disposition in not taking people seriously. You know, he will at times get upset and he will take things seriously, and he does get actually kind of indignant and engaged in what's going on. But it's something that he, from what I can see, he can control. That he can then decide when he's going to lose his temper and start to be concerned and whatever else. But he can control his position on things and just mock people incessantly. And I think that was very effective against Destiny in that debate he had with him. And he does that just in general. And I think that's what makes him, I envy that about him. I'll just say that I wish I could do that. If I had that wittiness and pithiness and that demeanor to be able to do that, I probably would engage more with other people online because I know I could get under their skin and maintain a level-headed disposition and also a sense of wit. I don't have that. When I get upset, I lose that sense of wit. I just get angry. And that's not productive in terms of trying to stay above what people would deem socially appropriate. Once you get angry, there are times where it's appropriate and people will back you, but it's a lot more effective to goad somebody into just wigging out, especially if they're in the wrong, like he does. That's just not me, though. Unfortunately. But I got a super chat here from Terrible Burden, because I don't recognize your avatar. Who says, since you mentioned them, what do you think is the best way to get pensions back as a normal part of employment? The Democrats never bring it up. There's a reason for it. And the Republicans are unlikely to support it. They'll support police pensions until Wall Street has their way. Whatever Wall Street wants is what Wall Street gets. The only issue is that police unions and corrections unions are extremely... People don't understand this, but one of the only real powers still left in this country as it relates to unions are in the public sector. Private sector unions are fucking toothless. They get run over at every given opportunity, and no one defends them. No one in society. I'm one of the rare people that even defends private labor. Outside of a handful of fucking people in this society, no one gives a shit at all. No one gives any consideration for private sector unions at all, in any way. People talk about what happened with American manufacturing, and you could talk about normalized trade relations with China. You could talk about NAFTA and all the rest of the trade deals we made. Those never end. Like most of the people you'll talk about as it relates to American manufacturing will just say unions did it. Democrats did it. That's all it will be. That's all it'll be. And Democrats did do it in terms of the trade deals. That's true, but that's not what they mean by it. They just mean, well, you got all those fucking limp dick, lazy cocksuckers in the unions, and then boom, jobs just were gone. That's and legitimately, I've talked to people that just say that. And I say, you know, are you going to talk about the trade deals and all? Are you going to talk about the fact that we got outcompeted? Are you going to talk about the fact that this is the natural thing with globalization, especially when you have people not necessarily doing the job better, but being more effective and having better means of manufacturing and overseas? You know, unless you have the protectionist policies in place, you are going to have imported goods that are going to outcompete existing manufacturers domestically. Are you going to talk about those economics at all? Nope, just the fucking unions. Democrats and the unions, that's all I really know in terms of what happened. It's like, okay. But yeah, the public sector unions such as nursing, although it depends on the hospital, but nursing, teachers, and they're extra cringy. That seems to be one of the big unions that people don't like, are the teachers unions. And cops and corrections. The cops and corrections, in my opinion, are the most powerful because it is very hard to criticize corrections and cops without then having the people to defend those unions just say, oh, well, you're not really trying to attack the unions. What you're trying to attack is cops. And then you have people just go, Blue Lives Matter, fuck you, you hate cops. And then that's it. So it's very, and I'll say this like to any of you that are conservative, it is incredibly rare. I've had more conversations in the last 10 years with people talking about Pokemon than people that are conservatives talking about cop unions. And I mean that. Maybe you're the rare conservative that is talking about cop unions nonstop. I have almost had probably closing more on 0 than even 10 conversations with conservatives about police unions. I've had more conversations about police unions with fucking Democrats and liberals and people on the left. It's incredibly rare that I've ever talked to any conservative about police unions. And that's the thing. They don't, it's their own sacred cow that they don't want to fucking go after. They want to be the side that takes the side of cops no matter what. And I'm just speaking to people that are not principled, obviously. But, and so what comes with that is you then have to then engage in the very delicate argument of saying that police unions and corrections unions are too strong. Because it can be immediately turned on you to say, oh, you just hate cops, or you just hate corrections officers. These are people out there fighting on the streets, trying to keep the scum off the streets. You hate them. You hate them. You're not pro-cop. Why do you hate cops? What are you out there with the criminals, stomping with them? You know, and I've seen it. I've actually seen that happen, that dynamic happen. I've seen that happen. So I know that's the case. And conservatives go, oh, no. It would just be like, say, for example, if soldiers had a union and somebody goes, well, I'm not in favor of the soldier of the army union or the national forces union. I'm not in favor of that union. You hate the troops. No. I don't hate the troops. No. it's that dynamic. I've seen, obviously it's fictional with the soldiers, but even with the wars, you guys remember during the Bush years, you don't support the wars, then you hate the troops. Why do you hate the troops? That was a real thing. People can say whatever they want to. I saw that happen. And that was the bad years of Fox News when Fox News was fucking awful. They did that all the time. So it's not something that's Philly D is controlled neutral opposition. I don't know about that. But yeah, I would say that if you gave me the opportunity, the only trade-off I would accept would be the weakening of public sector unions in favor of promoting and bettering private sector unions. You know, I really see. I don't really see the argument against private sector unions. outside of arguing for management. It's like, oh man, the construction costs are going to go up because we're going to hire this union to build it for us. Oh, this is terrible. Construction costs, and investors they're going to lose some of their fucking investment in this. We're going to have to put their investment in constructing this, whatever we're building. And it's like, okay, well then, yeah, so what? That's too bad for fucking management and the investors. That's too fucking bad for them. That has nothing to do with consumers or the customers or anybody. It's just a boon for the laborers. That's all there is. So, yeah. Here's the thing, someone's saying in chat, just get rid of all the unions. Okay, and then what? What's going to happen once all the unions are gone? What are you actually going to get in return? What are you like? That's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, you get rid of the teachers' unions. Then what? You get rid of the cop unions. Then what? You get rid of all the unions. Then what? What comes of that? In the public sector, there very much is a whole slew of things that may change with teachers, with nurses, with fucking cops and corrections officers. There's definitely things that can change, such as pensions and all the rest. But as it relates to the private sector unions, what is even going to happen because of that? Outside of management gets some more money, executives get an extra bonus, investors get to an extra fucking dividend check. What is going to happen? I really don't think that anything good is going to actually come of it outside of the people that are already making a shitload of money are going to continue to do so, just a bit more. So that's the thing, is that that to me just begs the question, okay, what happens? Just give me an answer. What happens? My answer is that I think anything happens again, other than management just does whatever the fuck it wants, and the investors and the shareholders get their dividends. So nothing changes. It's just that, any potential representation you could have as a laborer just goes away. Oh no, what'll happen is, and here's the answer. This is what I think will happen. You get rid of all the unions, and then what happens is that the corporations go, oh man, all the fucking unions are gone. We're going to have to pay our workers more. A worker's going to walk into his boss's office and he's going to say, you better listen up, you motherfucker. I want a raise. And that person's going to say, oh man, I better do it. That's what's going to happen. That's what I think is going to happen. Because that's what's always happened. A single employee walks into his boss's office and demands better work environment or whatever, anything, more vacation time, anything. And the boss goes, oh man, you're right. I better just give you everything. Or he says, yeah, you and every other fucking asshole's looking for a job. Get back to work or you're fired. Because I really don't think that really gives a shit. Okay, I don't really have to. And thanks for the support, CJ. It's kind of a useless question. Anyways, so we're past 1 o'clock, so I'd like to end this. So if you have any fucking last second questions, feel free to get to them, because I'd like to wrap this up. Someone says get thrusted. Who is it? Sage says get thrusted back into an age of slave labor, industrial age of slave labor. No. I'm sure all of the ethical and very moral and very competitive corporations will just completely change in every conceivable way and act entirely against their own self-interest and fiduciary duty. That's what I think will happen. Labor costs being one of the highest costs for most jobs. No, they'll just change. Second R says, do you know that H Bomber guy once defeated a rapist and lost in SJW friend? What? Once defended a rapist and lost in SJW friend because of it. I don't really know much about H Bomber guy. He seems to be like a very spurgy idiot who really overestimates how intelligent he is. And he's bizarrely popular on Twitter. Just like that Sean and Jay guy or whatever. Just bizarrely fucking popular on Twitter, but is otherwise a fucking nobody. Yes, I've heard about the Florida sign language guy that was just bullshitting. Lewis, would you ever give disability advice? Or is that, okay, I can give you, okay, so there's something I could give you, disability advice. I think I've already talked about this in a stream before. Rule number 1, don't lie. If you're not injured, go back to fucking work. Because unless you're a cop or a corrections officer, you will probably go to jail. Especially if you fucking make it up. You will eventually get caught. You will have a fucking super spy investigator go after you, get some insane footage of you doing something. Especially if you go on, you can never go on vacation again. Ever. Because they will fucking follow you on vacation. I've seen that numerous times. They follow people on their vacations, got insane footage. Guess what? They go to jail. So that's my advice. Don't make shit up. Don't exaggerate even. That's rule 2. Don't exaggerate. If you are injured, don't pretend as though you need a cane. Don't say that you need to wear a brace 24/7. Don't say you're 80% disabled when you're 15% disabled, and they judge that based on fucking the doctors. Don't exaggerate. Don't lie. Don't exaggerate. You will get caught. The longer you're out, the higher chance there is that you will eventually get caught. And once you do get caught, you pay back 100%, especially if you aren't well represented, you pay back 100% of what you took, and you will probably go to jail. So don't do it. That's my advice, because you get a fucking somewhat competent investigator like me, occasionally competent investigator. Bro, you should meet the guy that trained me. He is a fucking lunatic. He's done insane shit to get footage, and he's sent people to fucking jail for a long time. I have too. And I'm not even that competent. So if somebody that's barely competent can send somebody to jail for a long time, you think you're going to be the guy that gets away with it? You know, again, if you're a cop or a corrections officer, you can get away with it. But anyone else, you're probably not going to. Germany is up. Talk to somebody who's European. Talk to Sargon. He'll tell you. What do you want to talk about Germany? Should we decentralize the nation or centralize it further? I'm not really sure at this point that we can argue too much for centralization of the government. That seems to be creating quite a few problems. I don't know if necessarily I'm afraid to go argue in favor of decentralization, because honestly, it just creates fucking lunatics to have their way as well. Part of decentralization is an idea of pure democracy and every issue being done by referendum, just a popular vote, I'm not in favor of any of that. So I'm not really big on centralization because I don't think our country is very well geared for it. But at the same time, I'm not in favor of decentralization in that kind of way as well, because I don't think that you can just hand certain issues to the public and they, without any kind of guidance at all, in terms of, like, not guidance being told what to think, but just having a basic understanding of what's being voted on. You see this time and time again. I don't think that decentralization is something that's going to be effective outside of people that want to see certain things done. I don't think that, like, say, for example, with corruption, I don't think that corruption is going to be any better under a decentralized system. I don't think so. Because it depends on an informed electorate. And being that that's not currently what we have, why would you think that decentralization is going to fix somehow our problems? I don't think it will. The authoritarian measures that we see, it can roll some of those back, but at the same time, it's not really the fix. It's not the silver bullet that people can think it is. If Naked Ape comes back, will you ever stream with him? Sure, he has to come back. I don't really know what him or Crowd are up to at this point. I haven't really seen much of them in quite a while. CJ says, I want you to debate Destiny. I don't want to fucking debate him. I don't want to fucking debate him. He's a fucking retard. The government isn't very centrally planned. I don't think that's true. I disagree with that, John. I think there is parts of our society and our economy and a few different factors that are controlled by the federal government. But, you know, outside of limited parts of education and economics, such as like the different agencies and subsidies and stuff like that, it's not that insane. There's a lot of red tape that can be, so, you know, basically taken from the federal government and given to states, and maybe, you know, they can come up with different systems and all that. So there are regulations that probably could be kicked down to the states, but I don't really think that there's, you know, I don't really think that it's quote unquote centrally planned. I think that's a bit far fetched. I don't think that's true. That Derek says that Kraut got chased off of YouTube by the alt-right. That's not true. If you haven't noticed, his upload, the way that he uploads isn't exactly super consistent. So I think that's pretty false. People always ask me about. I don't have a strong opinion on Israel. Every fucking stream, somebody asks me about that. I don't have a strong opinion of Israel. Do you think YouTube pundits and guys with camera phones will kill TV news? Very slowly, yes. I mean, but that's the thing, though, is that with TV news, they're basically kept in place by massive advertisements and parent corporations. So what I think will happen is that you will see a very, very, very slow degrading of mainstream news. It depends on the new generations. Like, if the new generations continue to get their news from the internet, whether it's just listening to me or somebody else, then yes, just by the factors of population, they will collapse. But I think that as time goes on, as they lose advertisements and all the rest, they'll just be bought out by billionaires and operate on a loss. That's far more likely than them collapsing. Rage After Storm, is that the one I don't, if that's the one brunette chick with the glasses, I really think people heavily overestimate how good looking she is. All right, I'll take 2 more questions and then we'll end this. Actually, let me check super chat. Oh no, there's no more super chat. All right. If PewDiePie did nothing wrong or does nothing, do you think the devs will threaten DMCAs to silence their critics? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that I think PewDiePie handled that situation very poorly. I don't remember if I'm going to talk about that in the next stream or not, but I do think that he's handled the situation pretty poorly. I think he's allowing people to use DMCA as a weapon, and he's just going to roll over on it. That's very stupid. Even for himself, it's very stupid. Would you let a trap? What is it? 100,000 or 10,000? Would you let a trap fuck you in the ass for 10,000? Probably not, and that's not a very serious question, but probably not is my answer. When are you planning on watching a real anime, reading a real manga? Well, I have no plans to do either in the foreseeable future. Oh, man. All right, well, I'll take that PewDiePie question as 1, so we're down to 1. I already talked about Mr. Mediker's last video. I guess I don't really have much. I mean, it's not. What am I supposed to say? He had some involvement with some goofy ass fucking guy who had like a meltdown. Was a lunatic. So I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say about that, other than yeah, the guy's a fucking lunatic, and Mr. Mediker's video was funny and all the rest. You know, not really much to say. Okay, so this is going to be the last question because it's the only one I feel like answering, and that is pussy. Is that a semicolon? Hairy or shaved? So that is a serious question because I would say that as it relates to pussy, my opinion or my preference is maintained, but not completely shaved. I don't think that completely. I find, for whatever reason, I don't really know, because I don't really want to get too much into my history, but I did have a girlfriend who did at one point shave entirely, and I didn't like it. Didn't like it. So I would say that maintained is my preference, and I'm not into super hairy. I think that most of us at this point, because we don't live in the fucking 70s and beforehand, I'm pretty sure that most of us, outside of a handful of fetishists, are into super hairy. Even the women, I'm pretty sure, are not into super hairy, because it's probably kind of an issue down there if it gets too hairy, like it would otherwise be if you got hairy anywhere else. But yeah, I would say that my opinion is maintained. People memeing it up. But yeah, I'm not. I think that's actually been one of the things, in my opinion. I'm not too sure if I'm right or wrong about this, but I think that the shaved thing, like being completely bald, was something that was really big in the maybe like the 90s, like late 90s into early 2000s, that was really big to be completely shaved. I wasn't super old at that point, so maybe, you know, I'm wrong, but I think it was the thing then. And I would say that it's not as big now, that the whole being completely bald is not as popular as it once was. Not sure if I have too much to base this on, other than just from my own experience. But I'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see a poll on that. You know, I guess you'd have to have a poll in the past, but I don't know. That's my opinion of preference for pussy now. There's a lot more. What would be the acceptance of hair than not in the now than there was in the not too distant past. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Thanks for being here and all that. Be sure to check out all my links. Go check out the lewds that I just posted, and I will post them on Gab in a second here. Thanks for stopping by, and have a good night.